Hi friends, I am super excited about our project today. We're going to get crafty and we are going to make a fairy house. These are just adorable. They look great in your garden, at the base of a tree, along a path. So let's get going. I can't wait to show you our supplies and exactly what we're going to do. So you can see I've spread everything out that came in the kit so that I can easily get to it when I'm ready to use it. The first thing that we're going to start with is the base. So I've laid the base out on my paper towels so I know that that's where I'm going to start. You'll also notice that I have some found items like the twigs that I'm also going to use. I'm going to end up using those to build my door. Now you can use whatever you like. We have buttons and rocks and moss and popsicle sticks. All of those things can be used. You don't have to do what I do. Please be creative, use your imagination, and let's build a fairy house. For my design, I've decided that I want to have a walkway attached to the base. So the first thing I'm going to do, and again, you do not have to do this. This is just an idea that I had. If you do choose to do this, I separated my popsicle sticks into two sets. One of 6 and one of 4. So I'm going to use two from the pile of 6 for this part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my glue and I'm going to put, with my paintbrush, just a couple dabs of glue right here on the base. And then I'm going to glue down my popsicle sticks. These are going to take a little bit of time to dry, so just be patient, okay? If you can manage it, hold them in place and flip it over. Okay, you can kind of straighten them out. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more glue on here, and I'm going to start laying out my walkway. Now, I only have 4 popsicle sticks. If you have more at home, go ahead and use them. You can fill in the gaps a lot better than I'll be able to. But again, this is, it's just pretend. So here I go. This is the walkway to my house. See that? Put one more on there. Alright, now that needs to dry, so I'm just going to let that be, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to start building the sides and the top to my house. So here's all the pieces that came in the kit. These two are the sides, this is the roof, and these are the ends. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to put the house together. See that? Just be gentle. You don't want to break any of the boards. And sometimes they might not seem to fit exactly. Just take your time putting it together. Oops, I think I had the wrong end. Do I? I did. Sorry about that. This is the one we need. It goes together pretty simply. This one's giving me a little bit of trouble. Again, you don't really want to force it. There we go. Okay, and now the roof. Well, first I think we should put it in its base. You'll notice that these notches correspond with the holes. So line those up as best you can. And we're going to pop those in place. Again, this can be a little bit fussy. Just take your time, do your best. Remember, if they don't fit exactly, we can always glue them in. Okay, there you go. Mine are in. I think I've got one that's, there we go. Okay, next we're going to put on the roof. And the way that's going to work is one piece is going to fit into the other. So I don't believe it matters which side you put where. There you go. And as I said before, it never hurts if you want to put a little bit of glue here and there just to keep it stable. We've got our house. The next thing we're going to do is actually paint our house the colors that we want it to be. So I think, since I know I'm going to use the moss on the roof, I'm going to paint my roof green, just in case there's any negative space that shows through. You know, you won't see it because I'll paint the roof green. Now, you were given some paint, but feel free to use any other paints that you might have at home. All right. I think I'm going to use a bigger brush because this is a pretty big space. And I'm going to start painting. Okay, check back with me in a few minutes after you've painted yours. See you soon. Okay, so at this point, your project should be painted. All the sides, make sure that you got the edges painted all along there. You don't have to paint the bottom for obvious reasons, but do paint underneath the roof because you will see that. Now comes the fun part. Now is when we start decorating our house. So I've pulled aside some buttons that I'm going to use on the roof for decoration. I also painted the remaining 4 popsicle sticks. If you remember, we had 10 and I used 6 to make the walkway and the other 4 we left separate. So I'm going to actually put those on the side of the house right now for decoration. If you have access to a hot glue gun and you can be supervised by an adult, I recommend using a hot glue gun. If there's no adult available to supervise, please continue to use the glue supplied in your kit for safety reasons. For the purposes of this tutorial, I am going to use a hot glue gun in the interest of time. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just decorate the side of my house with some blue popsicle sticks. Just like that. You know, and just as with craft glue, with hot glue, the rule is the same. Dot, dot, not a lot. You just really don't need much. It'll stick very well with very little. And you might get messy, and that's okay. Okay. There we go. So that's my side design. And next, I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to put a window on the other side. I painted my window red. Isn't that cute? Okay, that's the beauty of hot glue. It sticks instantly. Then we're going to put a couple dots on the roof for our buttons. You can see I had put some dots of paint on here to let me know exactly where I wanted to put the buttons. And these I'm just adding for color because we're really going to cover the whole roof with moss. Just wanted to have some colors peeking through in the event that the moss didn't cover everything. Let's turn it around. See how quickly these go on? It's really wonderful. And don't need much at all. This is already super cute. Now that all of my buttons are on the roof, I'm going to start putting the moss on the roof. This will make it look like an authentic wooden forest home. I'm not gonna lie, this is messy. Be sure you're working on a covered surface, like a paper towel or newspapers or something, because these little pieces are gonna get everywhere. Gluing this is also a bit tricky. You're gonna need to put a little bit more glue than you did for the buttons. And we're just gonna do sort of a wide squiggle here to cover a lot of surface area. And take a large piece and we're gonna put it down like that. You'll notice I pulled it apart. This is in your kit. It's sort of thick. Just break it up and you know, use little pieces here and there to cover as much of this roof as you can. Sorry, my glue stick is a little low, so I had to put a new one in there, trying not to cover up what I'm doing so that you can still see. Oops, that glue is hot, be careful. Again, you're not going to be able to cover every bit of the area. That's why the buttons help. They just fill up that negative space a little bit. And we'll do some more over here. Again, a reminder, kids, if you are using hot glue, be sure you have adults' supervision to use it because it's very hot and you could burn yourself. See that? We're starting to fill in those gaps. Use a little bit more. A little bit right there. Just fill it in. I'll do the other side. Doesn't look great yet, but it will by the time I'm done. Okay, check back in a few. Go ahead and glue on your moss. If you don't have hot glue, use the craft glue. It'll work just fine. You're just going to need to allow a little bit more time for it to dry. Have fun! Okay, so my roof is all set, and now I'm going to work on the door. Remember when I told you I had collected some sticks from my yard? Well, now it's time to be creative. I'm actually going to cut these guys up. I'm going to use my scissors and cut them up so that they're just about all the same size because I'm going to make a door. You might have another idea for a door. Maybe you want to use something else. Stones, or you could use the buttons, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do what I'm doing, okay? So see how I'm doing that? I'm breaking all the little extra twigs off because I need more of a straight stick, kind of estimating the size, measuring. Okay, right about there is where I need to cut. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to cut these up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them on here so that they make a door. Okay? All right, check back in a few minutes and I'll have that glued on and I'll show you how I did it. So as you can see, my door is just about made. I just wanted to show you how I did this. I just put a little bit of glue on each twig, like that, and then I gently placed it where I wanted it. Again, this is easier with hot glue, but please don't do this unless you have an adult to help you. This glue is really hot. And then I just went into my bag of buttons and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on one of these buttons and I'm going to make a handle. There you go. How cute is that? Right? Okay. So if you used craft glue, you're going to want to let this sit for a while. If you tip it, everything's going to fall off. So just let it dry. If you used hot glue, you can probably tip it And then you can start putting your rocks on. I am going to put my rocks down here at the base so that it looks like the house is set in with some stones. And again, you know, vary the size, use your imagination. These little guys really look like pavers. They're really great for that. And you can maybe put a couple here on the walkway. You know, maybe bunch them up. I'm not sure. See how you want to do it. What you think looks best. And you know, put some around the front. I always like to lay everything out before I glue it down. Just gives me an idea of, you know, how things are going to look, and if I want to make any changes, I can. You may have collected some rocks from outside your house. That's perfectly fine. And you'll notice the ones in the bag, they have a colored side and they have a gray side. So that's up to you. Personally, I like to use the colors. I just think it adds some vibrance to the house. But yeah, totally, go ahead. I'm kind of liking the way this looks. So I'm going to glue these down. And then the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to build a flower box on the side of the house. So as you can see, I filled in with moss around the rocks, just to kind of give it more of a landscaped feel. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my little tiny twigs, and this time I'm going to put some dots of glue on the house itself, and then I'm going to position my twigs like so, because it's easier to do that. These are so tiny, it's just way too hard to try to get it on the twig itself. If you're using hot glue, remember to work fast because it does dry quickly. This doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, it's supposed to look like it's, you know, outdoors. Okay, and that's kind of supposed to be my flower box. And I'm gonna see, do I have any little buttons that we can use as flowers? Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe we'll put a couple of these little guys in there, just to give the idea of flowers. I'm looking for some bright colors. You may have some better colors than I have in my collection. So let's go ahead and add a few of those. Again, my dot of glue, and my button goes on there. And another dot of glue, and a button. Maybe we'll put a little blue one, pretend we have a blue flower. And one more right here, just for balance. There. And now we have our little window box. Okay. And friends, I think we are just about done. Feel free to add anything else that you would like to add to your house. Here's a look at our finished fairy house in my yard. I'm really happy with it. I think it's adorable. I'm sure yours is as well. I really hope you had fun making this project. I did. So remember this summer to have fun and be artful.